Now, it's a well-known fact that the lowest form of life currently known to medical science is the common tabloid journalist, specifically the subspecies known as the stringer, literal ambulance chasers who make their living by barging into crime and accident scenes with cameras in hand, trying to capture the most shocking and lurid images possible so that they can sell them to the highest bidder later. Not exactly the kind of people you'd want to associate with, but they do make for a pretty interesting subject matter for movies out to explore the depths that human beings will sink to in the pursuit of fame and fortune. Which brings me neatly along to Nightcrawler, a 2014 psychological thriller starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo about a ruthless freelance journalist who goes to ever more extreme lengths to capture the perfect scoop. It was an absolutely brilliant movie that's been rightly hailed as one of the best films of 2014 and is now considered a modern day classic, combining a tight and compelling script with excellent atmospheric direction from Dan Gilroy and an intense, captivating performance by Jake Gyllenhaal. In short, it's the perfect candidate for an extra shots review, so let's dive right in, shall we? The movie begins by introducing us to Lou Bloom, a petty thief who makes his living by stealing and selling scrap metal, and straight away you get a sense of how callous and ruthless this guy is, willing to attack a nighttime security guard who gets in his way and even stealing the man's watch, something that he actually holds on to until the very end of the movie. His attempts to land a more permanent job fall on deaf ears, but things change for him when he's driving home that night and stumbles on the scene of a grisly car accident, where paparazzi are already on the scene and recording the whole thing. He soon discovers that they're known as stringers, freelance reporters who monitor police frequencies in the hopes they can make it to a crime scene in time to shoot some footage that they can sell to late night news channels. Accidents, assaults, murder, the more lurid and gory the better. Straight away, Lou knows that he's found his calling, and before you know it, he's stolen an expensive bike and traded it in for a police scanner and a cheap camera, and he's on the hunt for his first big scoop. His initial attempts don't go too well, but he finally catches a break when he manages to get the jump on a fatal carjacking and literally moves dead bodies around to get a better shot. Pretty soon, he's caught the attention of local news anchor Nina, who encourages to bring in more footage like this. The more graphic and shocking, the more money they're prepared to pay him. Lou's more than happy to oblige, and before you know it, the scoops and paychecks are rolling in. But the deeper he sinks into a world of late night police chases and murder scenes, the more ruthless and cold-hearted he becomes, and the more he's willing to break the law to get the shots that he needs. But with his partner growing disenchanted with his methods and the LAPD investigating him for interfering in crime scenes, will his unscrupulous ways finally catch up with him, or will he manage to stay one step ahead? Nightcrawler is a movie that works on a lot of different levels. Firstly, as a commentary on the cynical and manipulative nature of tabloid journalism, and believe me, it definitely pulls no punches there. News stations are shown to be perfectly comfortable bending the law, their own integrity, and even human decency to get the jump on their rivals. They're willing to pay handsomely to whoever can bring them the best shots, and they ask few questions about how they got them. They willingly distort the truth and omit vital information to further their narrative, and they have absolutely no problem exploiting human tragedy to make money. Just like journalists in real life, I guess. And in Lou, they've basically found the ultimate evolution of their mindset. A man with boundless ambition and absolutely no moral compass, willing to do and risk almost anything to get the perfect shot. He's a case study on the dangers of pursuing success at any cost, a kind of Daniel Plainview for the internet era, with no interest in anyone or anything except himself. And I think this is probably the strongest aspect of the film for me, the fact that the protagonist, the guy that you're supposed to be following and cheering on, is slowly revealed to be an absolute monster. Like any good sociopath, he can be superficially charming and polite to people when it serves his interests, but he's got no actual empathy or attachment to anyone around him. He speaks to people in this weird, clipped, formal style like he's reading off a corporate script.
Don't answer me by telling me a problem. I have enough of those already. Bring me a solution, and then we can make a decision together.
There's no personal connection or emotional attachment there at all. Innocent victims of violent crime are nothing but revenue streams for him to exploit. Fellow stringers are simply obstacles on his path to success that have to be removed by any means necessary, and even his own employees are nothing but pawns to be sacrificed whenever they stop being useful. And pay attention to how he moves and acts around other people. Notice how intensely he studies people in more senior positions than him, the way he watches every move that they make, trying to learn everything he can about what makes them tick so he can exploit them later. You just can't take your eyes off the guy, and a lot of that is down to an absolutely commanding performance by Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, I'll be honest here, before I saw Nightcrawler, I generally thought of him as a capable but fairly mild-mannered actor, able to turn in reliably decent performances even in shitty roles, but not exactly pushing the limits of his craft. But here he's a completely different person, intense and unblinking, thin and strung out, filled with manic energy and barely concealed contempt for the people around him. You know he's basically the villain of the movie, but fuck me, he's fun to watch. The film's morally grey ending leaves its ultimate message open to interpretation. Will Lou's ambition and hubris eventually get the better of him? Will he be caught and punished for the things that he's done? Or will he continue to grow and prosper? Because in the end, it's men like him who always stay one step ahead. The movie leaves it up to the audience to make up their own mind, because it's not about wrapping up its narrative in a neat, comfortable bow where the good guys win and the bad guys get their comeuppance. It's about inviting the viewer to question who the bad guys really are, what kind of culture we actually live in, what the news and information we digest so easily is actually built on, and the systems and individuals that we're tacitly supporting by being part of it. Interesting questions that'll keep you thinking about this movie long after you've finished watching it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.